Welcome to my daily review. Today is Thursday, September 4th, and you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which is undercut the 21 three times since August 1st. You can see the first time was August 1st, and it rallied back up. The next time it closed below the 21 was August 20th, and it rallied back up. On Tuesday, it closed below the 21. Yesterday, got above it, and today rallied 209 points or 0.98%. You can see the volume is not real strong, which kind of surprised me a little bit coming back from Labor Day. But, we got a jobs report tomorrow, and it is still, even though it's at 21,707, it's still consolidating within this box, digesting this 47% rally from 14,784 to 21,803. So what we look for is, a breakout above the 803 area, which could happen any day. It could consolidate more. But as long as it's above the 21, we're going to stay green. I'm not seeing a lot of stocks set up in bases like I did, during this run where it was really difficult to pick out, from all the good-looking bases. But now stocks are, bouncing off their moving averages, kind of like the index is doing. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But whenever the index is up like this, the Mag 7 stocks are the stocks that are driving this index higher. This is Amazon up more than 4% today on a news item with JetBlue. You can see it broke above its downtrend line here. If I get the right tool, yeah, right here. So to me, that's a buy around that 234 area. Showing real strength is, you call that, power through the pivot there. So nice move for Amazon, looks real good. Google, this one's been super strong since the breakout here about 180, 181, and it's been pretty easy to hold. It's just trending above its 21, trending above its 21. Now I got the news on Tuesday night where Judge Mehta had a favorable decision. Then it rallied yesterday, and I saw a lot of people saying, sell this, it's going to come back, or I don't know. To me, when Google breaks out like that, I mean, it just depends. If you're a trader, yeah, take profits. If you're a longer term holder, there's nothing to do here. Just hold your stock. So yeah, it just depends on your time frames and what type of goals and objective, what type of trader you are. So that's all. But Google looks fine. Apple also, they had the favorable decision in their Google and Apple, with God news with Siri. Because if it didn't go well for Google and Apple could have gone to Microsoft and used their, merchandise. So, well, by the way, I've got to mention Microsoft because it's hanging right here at 500. This is looking like Palantir. The software names are really struggling, but it's hanging in there, and that's what you want it to do is hang around, not crash out here. It's below the 50, I get it, but it's hanging above 500. Sold off after its earnings, which I don't like, made that high of 555 on July 31st and has sold off ever since and below the level where it, had that strong earnings report. Same with Meta, but Meta bounced today. It undercut the 50, now bounced. Pretty decent move. But once again, made it up near 800. Then it's just been selling off recently and below the level where, the earnings gap. So not the greatest action in the world. Tesla looking better. Tesla's just consolidating within a base here, but it's above its moving averages. These moving averages are really tight within each other, right? I mean, they're pretty close to the 5 and the 21 and the 200 are just, pretty tight. I wouldn't call it the power of three, but you'd like to see consolidation within a base, trading tight to the moving average. I think Tesla looks pretty good here. What other ones do we have in this group? Oh, duh. NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, traded down to its 50, and this thing's starting to look like Palantir. When stocks trade down to their 50, you want to see them bounce within, a few sessions. You don't want to see them lounging around here. And so NVIDIA needs to bounce, and hopefully it will. Anyway, that's enough for the Mag 7s. I got to get to the earnings reports. Well, I guess I'll start with the negative stuff. Take you down the negative road and bring you back on a positive path. Salesforce, the CEO is kind of saying how, they're a better value than Palantir because they have, 41 whatever billion in revenue, and Palantir, only has like four. They have 10 times the revenue, but Palantir has a bigger market cap. But it just sounds like sour grapes. And when you guide lower, I mean, you're going to get a haircut, and they got a haircut 5% today. Not really a fan of that whining stuff. Shouldn't even mention the other company. Just, do your own business, focus on yourself. HP, yay, the hardware name. Uh, yeah, it bounced a little bit, it's surfing the five, ran up and pulled back. You see that with earnings, though, you get some short covering and then you get some buyers. So they reported last night, good move here for AEO. The Sydney Sweeney's paid off. You know that Sydney Sweeney was hired by Crocs way before AEO, American Eagle. Like a year and a half ago, they hired Sydney Sweeney to boost their Hey Dude brand, but they didn't use her properly, obviously. And her advertising with American Eagle Outfitters has certainly resonated with the public. And it wasn't a great report, but up 38%. We'll take that all day long. So, yeah. And then this morning we saw a Shoe Carnival report, and we're starting to see some hits and misses in retail. We're getting some real strong moves in retail, which I love. I love to see the retail names do well. Not, overall as a theme like the drug or the housing, but or the gold, but some of the retail names are starting to perk up a little bit. Shoe Carnival had a nice move, 20% above the 200 on their earnings report. We like that. AEO moved. I mentioned that. Oh, got to mention Credo. Last night they reported, had a nice response here, and they got some pin action in some other names here. Closed near the lows of the session. Don't like that, but ALAB and Credo, they kind of help each other out. When ALAB reported, Credo got a bounce, and when Credo reported, ALAB got a bounce of nearly 7% today. And this is starting to look good as it continually finds support at the 21. So, and it closed near the high of the session today, right? Yeah, nice hammer candle on ALAB. Anyway, I think that's it for earnings. Oh, I got one more bummer. Boo, DAVA. That's a nice haircut. 31%. So earnings, don't say they're not risk events, because they are risk events, and you could get, big haircuts if you try to get too frisky and do an earnings report. All right, that's it for the Mag 7. That's it for the earnings report. I got to go through some themes, and you know, I think we're going to get a series of rate cuts, and these housing stocks are a big tell. As they've been, got to look at the weekly chart here. Made this big bottom, and now they're anticipating not only one rate cut, in a couple weeks or on the 17th, but a succession of rate cuts. And so that will mean multiple expansion. And as the rates come down, that opens up the housing market. And I think, a lot of buyers are waiting for, lower rates. And people don't want to sell. If you got a, interest rate at 2.5%, 3%, you don't want to sell and buy at 7% or whatever it is. So the rates need to come down. I think they will. And this is a tell here with these stocks. Did I buy these today? No, I'd mentioned that the charts look great. I didn't buy them. It's like gold. I never buy these things. So I should have home builders. I should have a gold stock, but that's the way it goes. Pulte looks fantastic. Just like these two look exactly the same. Taylor Morrison Home Company, another one that's consolidating with innovation, was up 4% this week. These things look fantastic. So when I'm looking for charts, and I'm looking for stock setup and bases, these are some of the better looking ones that I could find. And the other one was GRBK. This is a smaller niche market, the South, green brick, Dallas, Atlanta markets. Still consolidating within the base. This still looks good to me. And, lower rates are going to help this thing. It's just a small, 3 billion market cap stock, but consolidating within the base, trading near the moving averages. It's shown the ability to move in the past, and it popped nearly 4% today. Green Brick has, yeah, really shown the ability to be a big mover. I mean, that's a heck of a move there from what, $18 to 80. Thank you very much. So don't sleep on that one. And the other one is Open Door. I mean, these guys are going to benefit from lower rates as well. I know it's a little bit of a cult stock. It's quite a bit of a cult stock. And, what can I say? They're turning it around. Turnaround plays are extremely difficult. Many fail, most fail. If you read the Peter Lynch book, he talks about, turnaround plays are some of his biggest winners of all time, but a lot of them fail. So this could be a big winner, and it could fail. But lower rates will definitely benefit this. And people use this to sell, buy and sell homes. Anyway, open has made a huge move here off the lows. I think it was like 50 cents, now up to $6 today. So anyway, it's surfing the five, finding support here. If you're just looking at it technically, every time it comes down to the five, it finds support. If you didn't know anything about this stock, you'd just say, hey, look at the green line. It's just following the green line. Today bounced off the green line. So, it's going to come back to that green line, but that green line's moving up very quickly. If you look at the beginning of the week here, what was it? That we came back on Tuesday, and the green line was what, 457. And then 475. Today it's at 516. So you can see how fast that's moving up. And so if it continues to find support at the green line, and that green line is ramping higher, I mean, even, I can figure it out that, you're going to make money here fairly quickly if it just holds above the green line. Now, if it trades below the green line, that's when you lose money. So it's always a risk. There's nothing easy in the market. All right, I got to go to the drug names. These drug names are just super duper strong. MLYS is another one. If you look at the relative strength graph that I put at the top of the page every morning at mcstockcharts.com, you can see how many biotech stocks are on that list. ABVX, just yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of them, and I don't want to go through all of them, but there's just a lot that are just doing really well. Whoa, this one pulled back to its five. RIGL is another one. It's got the ants pulled back, finding support, which is what you want to see. TVTX, I should have put this on my Reddit list this morning, but I didn't. But it broke out here up 8% today. Nice move for Travere Therapeutics, WGS. This is more of a diagnostic, but drug stock making new high today. We like new highs. ANIP. ANI Pharmaceuticals just surfing the five to the breakout on August 8th, 18% move. That's why, I track these things, and some of them fail, of course, and then some of them just rip up higher. So that's why I pay attention to them. But that's a nice move. And I could go through a lot more drug stocks, but I'm going to stop right there. I did want to point out that the gold, I'd mentioned the gold got a little stretch and it pulled back slightly today, ever so slightly. And I have never seen a bull market where gold leads. And so I'm thinking that these things do pull back a little bit, even though gold's trading at 3,500. I mean, this is not much of a pullback, 27 cents today. Um, so a lot of these did pull back slightly, but gold's at 3,500, and it's just strange for me to see gold the leading group. I could see it being a strong group, but being the leading group, it's kind of strange for me and a little concerning, but I just had to point that out. They did pull back today. All right. Got to go to one that got an upgrade today. The software names, a lot of software have been beaten down hard recently. They've gotten some love, but Apple 11 is getting the most love here. I think this is pricing in an S&P inclusion. I could be wrong, but if it doesn't get included, I would imagine a big sell-off. But it was upgraded today with a 615 price target. Nice move. Probably going to struggle there at 500 unless it's included into the S&P. And then I expect a rally. Palantir, I mentioned earlier, just squatting at the five, and I hate to see this. This is like a bear wedge pattern, where it just, it's wedging higher slightly, but no power here, no volume. I don't know. Maybe one day it'll get an upgrade and move, or a contract and move, but this thing squatted at the 20, excuse me, at the 50 there for too long for my comfort. So that's making me a little nervous. Reddit, I know it's not a software name, internet content stock. Pull back to the 21. You can see how many times it's pulled back here and found support. Gosh darn it, get the date right, Marty. So it made the high of 253 after the earnings blowout, big run up, and like the Nasdaq kind of sold off into the end of August, um, and hit the 21 there, hit the 21 again here on the 27th, hit the 21 again here on Tuesday, and it continues to find support at the 21. So yesterday it made the big move up and then sold off into the close, and today just had an inside day, but it's above the 5 now. So that looks pretty darn good to me. I would like to see it trade above that high yesterday of 239, 37, call it 239.50 or 240, what the heck. But yeah, that one looks good. Reddit and ALAB. All right. I know it's not a software name. MDB, it's just hard finding really good software stocks. This one ramped last week on earnings and now it's flagging, which we like these flag patterns. That one looks pretty good, but there's just a lot of them like, Snowflake, made a move and then sold off. That's not what you want to see. Datadog, selling off. It's consolidating in a base, but below the 50. So just a lot of these names. Oracle, I think I went down maybe on the Salesforce news, but this thing made the high 260 and it's just sold off ever since, July 31st. So the whole month of August now into September, it's below the 50 and just not looking that great. All right. That's it for the software names. Some of the techie hardware names doing well. This is Lumentum. I drove by this place. It's right across the street from Supermicro there in San Jose, and I had met some folks at Supermicro, and I'm going, There's a big bright sign early in the morning. It just couldn't help but notice. And I'm thinking maybe that's a sign. The sign is a sign. I didn't buy it, but it's been ramping ever since. When was I there? Late July. Yeah, I went to there for a funeral, but. LITE looks good. WDC hardware name, this is a computer data storage, just bonkers, going bonkers. The other one was a Pure Storage, Charlie Giancarlo's company, ramped up on earnings last week and just pulling back, allowing the 5 to catch up. What was that move on earnings? 32%. So yeah, just allowing the 5 to catch up. Today it pulled back to the 5 and got a bounce. And that's kind of what's happening with a lot of these stocks is they're not set up in bases, but they're bouncing off their moving averages. So a little tougher to buy that way. You got to be really attentive. You need to be very quick. And, because once it pulls back there, when it was a low 74.50, that you're buying, it closed at 78.73. So yeah, you have to be quick on these bounces here, but identify the strong names and it makes it a little easier. SATS, this is the AT&T bought out a portion of this company. It's been ripping ever since. It was up 70% one day, and now it won't even pull back to its 5. Super strong name. Flex, this is one that's in the electrical contracting manufacturing group, making a new high today. That one looks good. Every time I think of that one, I think of Sanmina. Just consolidating a little bit. And CLS, this is a Canadian company. Yes, that looks very good. Making a new high today. Celestica. All right. So that's it for that group. Oh no, I have one more. This is kind of a yeah, telecom infrastructure name. Made that high and pulled back, but looks pretty darn good. That one was on our relative strength list. I'm not sure if it was this morning. But anyway, I've got to get to oh, the finance names. Obviously, with rates coming in, hopefully. Don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but some of these the finance names looking good. This is Rocket. Tree looks good, making new highs today. SoFi, another name that looks pretty good. JP Morgan, obviously the big banks are all looking really good. That one's making new high today. Bank of America looks good. And the one I like, I showed this morning on my post-parade show is Schwab, just consolidating within a base. I'm not expecting it to blast through 100, but for a decent trade here, it's finding support, trading tight. Look at those moving averages. I like that setup. I'm a sucker for that. And it showed the ability to move as it's made a big move here, like a lot of stocks since Liberation Day. All right, I did mention the retail names, not only American Eagle and Shoe Carnival. We saw a bunch of names here, up on volume. And that's what I look for. We haven't had, recent days this week, 150, 180 stocks up on volume. Today there's about 320, and this was one of them, Urban Outfitters. I know it's below the 50. I know the 5 has sliced under the 50, and the 21 is below the 50, but that was a nice move today. Victoria's Secret, another one up on volume. I know it's below the 200, but it could be breaking out of a stage one base. Got to keep a, an open mind here. Some that are showing more relative strength. This is thread up. Made that high there, pulled back to the 21 and bounced sharply today, 11%. That's what you like to see. Macy's, big box, making big moves here following its earnings report. That reminds me of the dentist. The dentist is making new highs, a super strong name following the five. So a lot of these, I know Christmas is coming, and you think people are going to spend money there, but also Affirm, buy now, pay later. Why pay now when you can pay later? Big move on earnings and pulled back, with the market. And then last couple of days found support at the five and bounced nicely, 5% today. VITL, I got to throw this one in with the rest of them because it's a retail name. It's a food stock, eggs, the price of eggs, and just another strong name. You can see those David Ryan ants there. Getting back to the traditional retail, Wayfair, my wife loves shopping there. 81.94 would be a buy point there, I would say. It made that high, then it pulled back to the 21 and found support and then bounced. And that's what Palantir needs to do right there. You don't want to squat there forever. That's the 21, not the 50, but 81.94 above that, it's go time breaking out of that box. I mentioned the dentist. Oh, Elf. Elf looks good to me. The double bottom base, breaking out of that double bottom base. Nice move here for the Buddy the Elf. And then BKE, a stock that I rarely talk about. I used to trade it a lot. The Buckle. And now it's just Buckle. And you can see this one huge move. How many weeks in a row has this one been up? Yeah. Making new highs. You can see the relative strength. 91, just trending higher. That's it for me, except for I do have another group that I like is these data center build out construction plays. STRL, this is a leader. I told you to keep an eye on this one. Trying to break above this downtrend line. It made that high of 31, excuse me, 321.79 on August 5th. It's sold off for a month now, finding support at the 21. So don't sleep on that one. AGX, another one had on the ready list a while back, finding support at the moving average and bouncing today. And then roads, so many roads, finding support at the 21. And that is it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except for on to the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing. Tonight's earnings report. And I had a conversation with a friend, and he really likes Lululemon. It's a cash cow. And I said, no, they got Canada tariffs. There's too much competition. My wife, they love Viore, the ladies at the gym, and the guys too. They're switching out of Lululemons. You go to the yoga classes, and it used to be all, Lululemon, and now, I mean, anyway, just technically, look at this thing. It's just in a stage four decline. Why would you buy that? So he bought a bunch of calls for this earnings report. He thought it was going to rip. It had made a bottom. That's why it's just so hard to pick a bottom here. And I just stay away from it because I kind of like the competition. And if they came to market, if they IPO'd, I think it'd be a really good IPO. But yeah, not a great report from Lulu tonight. So I don't want to, I don't beat up on a company. They've been a great company. It's just, they go up the hill, they go up the mountain, and now it's coming down the mountain a little bit. And it's been a great stock for a long time, but competition. There's a very little barrier to entry for clothing, yoga pants, $200 yoga pants. Sorry. So the competition is caught up. The one I was really interested in was Broadcom, and they crushed it. Another fantastic report, raising guidance, but the stock's up a lot, and that's what tomorrow you'll hear it on financial news or whatever, like, oh, it's not going up because stock's up a lot. Probably going to pin it down for options tomorrow, and then next week it'll make a new high above 317.35. If you own it, that's what you want to hear. A great report, beat and raise, top and bottom line, all the metrics, hitting all the notes, big demand. But the stock's up so much it can't go up any higher. BS. It'll go higher. Just give it some time. What's the other one that reported tonight? Oh, DocuSign. I'm not a fan of DocuSign, but lower rates will help this one because it's related to the housing market. Path. I'm not familiar with this one, but it was up. 3% after hours. IoT, this is another software name that's been beaten down. Good, it's up 8%. I saw that BRZE was up quite a bit. I did not see the report. I'll have more in the morning on this, but yeah, up 16%. So yippee-ki-yay on that one. Maybe it could get back above its 200, which is what, 34.64. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Just want to take it one day at a time in the stock market. Tomorrow we're going to have that jobs report, and I think if it's a weak report, that it's going to cement, already what I think is going to be for sure a rate cut, maybe successive rate cuts, and maybe we can rally some more tomorrow. But don't get too crazy with your buys just because the Nasdaq's up here. It's still consolidating, right? Even though it's up 1%, it's still consolidating. You want to see a breakthrough of 21,803, but as long as it's above the 21, I'm going to stay on the green. Market conditions are green. It's finding support at the 21 and bouncing back above every time. So that's a very consistent pattern. And just there's not a lot of stocks set up in bases. You have to buy them off their moving averages. And there are stocks like Apple 11 just doing its thing. And of course, the Mag 7 very strong. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.